There are many songs that purport to show the realities of living with chronic illness, most notably depression. Most, however, don't go further than a sad chord progression and some melancholy lyrics to get their point across. Though there are some exceptions musically, like the Caretakers' attempt to portray dementia in the album Everywhere at the End of Time. Few songs come as close as Coward, by the no-wave band Swans, to capturing that crushing, demoralizing effect living with a chronic illness for a long time can have.
Kill the world back now!
Coward is an old song, starting off as an industrial track off the band's fourth studio album, Holy Money, in 1986. It's now a staple of the band's catalog that they not only play to this day, but have rearranged to fit their newer style along with several other tracks from their days in the 80s. I'll be using their performance of the song at Primavera Sound as the main reference, but my points apply to all versions of the song. As you can hear, throughout the duration of the song, there is at its center this brutal three-note riff, all on the same note, especially in its more industrial iterations. These three notes resemble not so much music as the unceasing pulse of some terrible machine. Coward is unique in this regard, even from the perspective of Swans' minimalist discography, as, while many of Swans' other songs center the song around a specific riff, Fear is stripped down as Coward is to begin with, and they rarely refuse to develop like Coward does. If you look at another of Swans' tracks, Oxygen, for example, you'll see that, while the riff continues throughout the whole track, by the end, the track is far different than it started. Coward, however, is the same from start to finish. This style is more of a remnant of the generally more stripped-down style of Swans' music in the 80s, but even when comparing the song to another song from that time like A Screw, Coward stands out as particularly unrelenting and cold. What allows Coward to portray its themes so effectively, and what differentiates it from other songs about similar topics in the rest of Swans' discography, is also what makes it unique in terms of minimalist music as a whole. When analyzing the works of minimalist composers like Steve Reich, and much of Swans' music in fact, one can see that the intention is to conjure a sort of spiritual experience, to connect the listener to the infinite through becoming lost in the trance-inducing repetitions. Coward, however, doesn't conjure this feeling. In fact, it tries its best to do the opposite, to situate the listener in the here and now, to be so pummeling and abrasive that the listener is forced to sit through every second fully conscious of what they are hearing. Not only does it have that menacing three-note riff, but bandleader and lead singer Michael Gira throughout the song, as in many other Swans' works, seems to outright want to startle the audience by speaking in tongues. When he isn't making these animalistic sounds, however, the lyrics repetitively invoke images of chronic mental illness, over and over again, so that these horrible phrases become like background noise in the cacophonous sonic landscape. So why does it use this aggressive musical language? It's certainly not a pleasant song, and to listeners unfamiliar with Swans' style, it may seem unlistenable. And that's the point. The feeling of this all-encompassing pulse of noise is overwhelming, and yet it doesn't stop. It keeps going, reliably, until it becomes a reality of the song, and one loses any delusion that there will be a change in its structure. The comparison to chronic illness thus becomes inescapable. Just as the riff of Coward Never Ends is unrelenting in its brutality, to the point that one can become exhausted with it, so is the reality of living with a chronic illness 24/7. Because the reality is that having a chronic illness never truly becomes normal. Not like everyone else is normal, because us with chronic illnesses cannot help but consider the reality of everyone else. It is as though we have headphones strapped to our heads, constantly playing this song, while everyone else doesn't, and we notice. And chronic illness, even besides that, does everything it can to make sure you don't forget it. That pulse truly is inescapable. It goes and goes, but unlike with chronic illness, it eventually ends, and there is silence. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. I know a lot of you came here from Thought Slime's eyeball zone thing on me, and I'm really happy to have each one of you on, and I'm really glad that Thought Slime decided to feature me. By the time I upload this, I believe I already will have released my Patreon, so I will leave a link in the description to that and my PayPal. I'm in pretty dire financial circumstances right now. I'm gonna not be able to pay rent, and that's really gonna put me in a really precarious situation. Since I have more subscribers now, I'm gonna spend more time working on my videos, and the more that you guys support me on Patreon is the more time I'm gonna be able to dedicate towards making my videos and sort of putting that content out there, so to speak. So if you guys would like to see more of that, please consider donating to my Patreon again, or making a donation to my PayPal. Or you could also, next time I have a stream, I'm still working on actually finding time to stream, but when I stream, you guys can also sort of either super chat me or donate on Twitch or give me bits or whatever. So thanks again, guys. I really appreciate you watching, and yeah, I think that's everything. Bye.